All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the February Motorist Modernization Phase 1 Advisory Board. We're going to call roll to see if we have quorum. Deb?
Will now be recorded.
Deb Roby?
Here.
Ed Broyles, let us know he would not be here today. Pace?
Here.
April?
Here.
Kevin? Kevin Bailey? All right. Mr. Washington let us know he would not be here today. Lisa?
I'm here.
Okay, it looks like we have 4. We need 5 for quorum, so we'll give Kevin maybe a couple minutes to see if he shows up. All right, Kevin, you are on the line?
I am here.
Okay, thank you. So with 5, we have quorum. We're going to go ahead and jump into the first agenda item, and that will be the review and approval of the last meeting minutes. Those are from January 14th. Rachel?
Good afternoon, everybody. The last meeting was held on January 14th. The December 10th meeting minutes were reviewed and approved. There was no stakeholder outreach update at the meeting. Craig Benner presented a OCM update for Phase 1. Janice Timmons presented a Phase 1 and Phase 2 financial review. The project updates began on page 2 with an update from Informatica, DL issuance, motorist maintenance and FR, IDMV portal, and this continued onto page 3 with an update from SIDLIS and citation processing, renewal notifications, and then Michelle McGinley presented a current status update for Phase 1 and discussed the new timeline. There was no communication update for this meeting. There's a brief Q&A between Lisa Cullen and Craig Benner regarding OCM. And the meeting was adjourned at 1:32 p.m. At the bottom of page 3, you can see the items that were distributed in the meeting packet prior to the meeting.
Any questions, comments, corrections from board members? If there are none, can we have a motion to approve? Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Need one more.
Do you have me as an aye, Lisa?
Yes, I got you now. All right, any opposed, same sign. Thank you, we'll mark these as approved. We are going to skip over the stakeholder outreach update today. We don't have an update for you. Some of the members are traveling today, so we will give you an update on that next month. Jumping into the Phase 1 program updates, we have an OCM update. Julie Larson is here on behalf of Craig Benner. Julie?
Yeah, the OCM team is continuing. All of our engagement plans have been approved except for the tax collector engagement plan, which we're currently working on. So we're engaging with the various areas throughout the department, some as often as bi-weekly, others monthly or bi-monthly. Going through, we've got checklists developed going through implementation items with each area related to Phase 1. The other thing we're working on is getting some questions on the PartnerNet and SharePoint site that have been raised to share with the members. And since the last meeting, our ISA knowledge transfer plan was approved, so now we're working with ISA and Accenture on getting the knowledge transfer to take place from those that have it to those that need it.
Any questions for Julie?
No.
Okay. All right, we'll jump next into the financial review. Janice?
Good afternoon. This is as of the end of January.
So for phase one, which we normally go over, is our total phase one total project budget, which is 37.3 million. This fiscal year is 2.3 million, and it is our last fiscal year for phase one. Our budget, again, for this fiscal year is 2.3, with actual standing right now at 1.1. There are no expenses, and all the other costs are in contracted services. Budgets to actual fiscal year to date are 1.1 with 0% variance, and month to date we had 160,000 in costs for the budget, and that's what we actually expended, so we had a 0% variance. The remaining is 1.2, which is spread out throughout the rest of the fiscal year. And then phase two, just to give you a quick update, we're currently in 1920, so we have a $13.7 million budget. Overall total budget for phase two is $44.5 million. We have actually spent $4.5 million, most of that in contracted services, and $247 in IB&B services. We also have a 0% variance on phase two fiscal year to date and month to date, with 9.2 in remaining funds. So quick, easy. Any questions?
All right, next, moving into the project updates, I just wanted to remind members that the team has finished all the planned development for phase one. We're currently working to wrap up the development and testing associated with change requests before we proceed along our several months of testing, with the ultimate goal of go live later on in the year. So I just wanted to kind of set that expectation again for the board members as a reminder. So moving into the project updates for phase one, we'll start first with the Informatica team. Sherilyn?
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. For the Informatica update, currently the team is working on fixing and resolving bugs that are related to push-pull, which is the first deployment that we're planning. It's just a push-pull replacement. Right now, there are about 40 bugs and that are related to push-pull. About 30 of those are in ready-to-test status, meaning that the SEU team is working on testing the 30 that are ready and have been fixed or somehow resolved by the team. And the rest of the bugs are still being worked on by the developers. We have had our Plant Moran engagement, which was on the 21st and 22nd of January, and they came on site and gave us an assessment of what it would take for them to come and help us with the remaining work, and that would be the bidirectional workflows for the remaining 6 subject areas, and we call those non-core. What we're working on in-house are the core workflows, and so they have submitted their proposal to us, and it is currently, as indicated in issue 35, it's currently with our IT financial planning services, and also purchasing. They are working on the contract and trying to finalize it, and then we'll know from there how to develop our new timelines. We are continuing, we're continuing in the key activities block there. You see we're continuing our testing with ISA and SEU, and also our seeding development and testing is ongoing. And we will have a new timeline as soon as we hear back from as soon as they get the contract finished. We'll get our dates from Plant Moran and have our new timeline from there. Are there any questions for Informatica?
Okay, if there are no questions, we're going to move to DL issuance. Joe?
Yes, so Kristen mentioned that we had completed our formal development. We're working on change requests. We've actually completed all the development and the testing on our change request. We're waiting on sign off on our last enhancement bug right now. Have a demo to finish that up this afternoon, try to get that signed off. So the team is concentrating on performance testing, which you see there on the left-hand side where we're at with that, as well as working on regression bugs, getting ready for regression testing, which begins in a couple of months, trying to get all the bugs clean up our tech debt, and get performance testing completed before we actually get into that final regression testing. We're also continuing to support vendors who are doing testing with batch transcripts and Penny Vendor, also supporting third-party cashiering as that testing goes on with the tax collectors, and making sure that we're giving them answers and providing support. We'll begin AMBA structural testing later in the spring, early summer as well, specifically testing SSolve and VLS. And we're also working on implementation tasks such as setup of users. So we've had a couple of meetings with the business to talk about merging or converting the existing FIDLIS and capture users into the new deal issuance Orion. So there's the activities that we have going on right now for deal issuance. Any questions?
Yes, Joe, this is Lisa.
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you already have that AMBO structural testing set up with them?
Yes, so we have a schedule in place with them. When we get close to that date, we'll actually get the official structural testing plan to include the test data.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Joe? All right, motorist maintenance FR, Scott.
Thank you, Kristen. Motorist maintenance FR, we are looking at, we're still in the change request development. We are, for motorist maintenance and FR, there's a change request of 197. We've completed all the development except for the transaction application screen work. You'll notice that there's a key dependency item that we're tracking. Once we get all the data and the tables updated, we'll be able to pull that data. So that one's going to be the longest pull in our development to complete motorist maintenance. FR, we've got the change request development completed. There's one, it's 198, which is our security deposit. We're working with the accounting and the financial responsibility team to address those. So hopefully they're looking towards the end of February, and we're on track to complete that. Over there, the performance testing, that'll be the next thing we picked up. You've heard DL issuances are there. We're still kind of hovering to not re-enter the performance testing, but you'll notice the numbers here, we've changed the numbers. You'll notice that the successful completed is up to 10 from 9. We started working into motorist maintenance, we had to pause. And also our 24 count will be dropped down to 23. The reason why is we identified one test scenario that we've covered for the citation processing team. So we're pointing that away, but I did not want to change those numbers until I made it aware to you guys in this board. Key issues and risks, we have issue availability of external resources to address the blocks for CRs and regression testing. BizTalk resources is wonderful coming through for us during this change request. We've got all that work done. We'll still need them for about 5 bugs when we get to the regression bugs. And our hope or plan is to start transitioning into those regression bugs before SAU completes their testing in April, or starts their testing in April and May. So this way they're not trying to test bugs that we're trying to fix. So our main push right after this change request series is to get into those regression bugs. And of course, you see the key dependencies that we had. The only one that's standing out is that data supporting motorist maintenance transactions. Without that data and the tables updated, we're not going to be able to complete that motorist maintenance development. And then key implementation activities, you heard the insurance company book of business file loads. They're at about 83% of the file. So there's about 43 that are still, or 46, excuse me, that are still to submit their files. But I think they've done a good job compared, they started at late November and really pushed in December, so just in a matter of a couple months, you see that over 275 companies are starting to process and we're only down to 46. So that's motorist maintenance and FR. Any questions or comments? Thank you, Kristen.
All right, my DMV portal, Andrea.
Good afternoon. So my DMV portal is currently trying to finalize phase 1. And in that phase, I'm closing out CR 204, which we're working with the FR team to close out that wrap. That CR, we have completed development. We're just trying to complete testing. They have one bug that they're working to implement, and we'll continue testing on that CR, and that will close out our CRs for the phase 1 team. Also, some key implementation activities that we're working on is any portal dependency updates that we would need to do. We're working on the user guide documentation We're also supporting LDO with the development of their training development, and also we're clearing up any additional ADA enhancements that we would need. And we're trying to get this done before we go also into regression testing. Any questions for my DMV portal? Okay, SITLIS citation processing team, we are currently still performing some of our performance testing. We have not completed our first round of performance testing, but we are working on that. We're about 68 to 70% complete. We are currently working on CR 195, which we still have some remaining development, some BizTalk development, and we're competing for BizTalk resources, which they are working to secure us a BizTalk resource to help close out that wrap. CR 201, we're testing. We're only testing that. CR 203, we're also just testing on that. And we're also in SITLIS structure testing with AMBA. We have completed all but one driver on our first round of testing with SITLIS. So we're hoping to start up this week our second round of testing for SITLIS structure testing. Some of the key implementation is, like I said, to continue with the AMBA structure testing and get that certification signed off on, and to start preparing for regression testing. Any questions for SITLIS citation processing? And the last one is renewal. And so basically renewal, like we said, is basically have completed all the development in their testing. They still are kind of finalizing the end-to-end testing. They are working on, there was one issue with SIPs, and that once we complete that issue with SIPs and run through that testing again, we will finalize the end-to-end testing for renewal notifications. Any questions for renewal notifications? Thank you.
All right, that concludes the project updates. Communications update, Coral?
Good afternoon. In your packet, you'll see a training and resources poster. This was created by the Learning and Development Office along with myself. So this essentially just provides some information on some of the training opportunities and resources that will be available to tax collectors and mainly the department. Training has started with December with the Train the Trainer sessions. It goes through April, and there's live Orion demos. Our first one is scheduled for this month. Tax collector training is coming up beginning in May. Ryan and My DMV Portal hands-on training for customer service will begin in April. As you heard Andrea mention, the user guides will be available in July, and iLearn training will begin in May. And these posters will be put up around the office. Any questions? Also in your packet is the Phase 1 Communications Plan, which has been approved by the Executive Steering Committee. This plan covers November 2019 through April 2020. A few new items, beginning on page 2, our next Change Champion Network Connect is occurring next Friday. Additionally, we will be sending out an organizational readiness survey to identified members throughout the department in March. And then, as you heard Julie mention earlier, the tax collector engagement plan is currently being routed for review and approval. Additionally, the training poster was approved and is being posted throughout the offices this month. On page 3, in addition to the training poster, there will be a more explanatory training page posted on our SharePoint site. And then training for tax collectors is currently taking place in Brevard County this week. On page 5, we have members currently in Brevard County performing a sandbox Orion overview. Additionally, next Tuesday, our State of the State meeting will occur to provide an update on the Phase 1 progress. And then that Lunch and Learn demonstration of the deal issuance system will occur on February 20th. Any questions?
All right, that concludes our agenda items for today. Are there any other items for business from the advisory board members?
Kristen, this is Terrence.
Terrence.
Kristen?
Hi, Terrence. Can you hear me?
Okay. Hey, I have an update on the cashiering testing status that we received. It looks like we have 3 vendors that have not started. One of those vendors says that they're waiting on the county, and then we have 2 counties that say they're waiting on their vendors. So we're going to reach out to the counties, like there's maybe 3 of them, and see if there's anything we need to do to assist. But other than that, the other ones have all started testing. Of course, Lee and Manatee have their own in-house cashiering system, and the report that I received shows them as tested, so that's good news. So, like I said, we'll reach out to those counties, not to the vendors, because the vendor communication happens through the IT Coalition. And as far as the state, there was a question about the state cashiering system that's being tested, of course, along with everything else within issuance. So that's the report that we received.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Terrence. Any items from the general public? Questions, comments?
I have one. I'm not sure if it's phase 1 or phase 2, so you'll have to train me on that.
Okay.
One of the things is on your insurance payments and toll, as far as clearances for stops. Is that going to be, I saw that in your overheads last time, what's going to be happening there in terms of, say, a tax collector ability to be able to clear a toll or to clear an insurance?
I would address it in phase 2.
Yeah,
We
okay.
don't have the broader group.
Phase 2, that's what I was wondering. Okay. I'll save it for them. Hello, Terrence.
Any other items? Any other items from the public or advisory board members? Okay, hearing none, we will adjourn today's meeting. See you next month. Thanks, everyone.